Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Daley, alongside my co-host, good friend, Mehrob Fatemi. How we doing tonight on this beautiful Saturday evening? All right. I think we're going to have a solid show tonight. It's just the two of us, the weekend crew. Loosen up a little, it's not as tense as the week, so we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be going good. But right now, we're gonna switch gears after talking about the NBA. We're gonna go on to the NFL. But before I dive into anything related to the NFL, I just want to quickly remind everybody that this show, it's all about you. We love hearing your comments, your questions, your opinions. We want to make this show as interactive, as exciting as possible. Now, one easy way to do that if you're on YouTube, you can use the Super Chat feature. To use the Super Chat feature, all you have to do is click the $ at the bottom of the chat box, type in your message there, send that in. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, gets read live, and it's also just a great way to support our channel, support what we're doing here. If Super Chat's not your thing, you're not on YouTube, you can also go to gsmcpodcast.net to tip or donate there. So, let's talk a little bit about the NFL and what is going on in Cincinnati with Shemar Stewart and another holdout for the Bengals. Bengals first rounder Shemar Stewart, defensive end out of Texas A&M, has officially left their mandatory minicamp after expressing his displeasure with contract negotiations with the Cincinnati front office. Something that's pretty rare, especially when you consider that rookie deals are pretty standard. Since 2010, 2011, they kind of put in a very similar scale for rookie deals where, depending on what round you get picked in, that's pretty much what you get paid. Here's a rookie that apparently has issues with that contract. What can we make of this, Mehrob? What do you kind of think of everything that's going down in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, say that the way you just described it is saying it nicely. Let's be real here. Cincinnati is a absolute mess with their GMing spot, with their financials across the board. It is an absolute train wreck over there. You have guys like Shemar Stewart, which recently is the biggest name out there, and a rookie just looking for a rookie deal, but they're adding clauses like if, say, he gets hurt in the next 2 years, you can automatically lose all your guaranteed money. What is that, man? You can go into college portals into FCS schools and get better deals than that with NIL money. Seriously. You get better. You have opportunities to actually earn your money. And I'm not saying that he should do that. He's at the level. He may have had a little bit of a quieter career with only 4 sacks in this year's college season. But he is one of those. He's speedy. He's quick. He's agile. He's a great defensive end. And he's very young in the league. If you want to just give him like a $2 million, $3 million contract as a rookie deal per year, do that. And I think 31 other teams would do that. But for some reason in Cincinnati, it is just an absolute mess. You have guys, I brought up Shemar Stewart. I didn't bring up another guy in the name of Trey Hendrickson, who's also looking for a deal on his own. You also bring up a guy like Jermaine Pratt, who was looking for a deal, just got signed with Houston. They finally gave him his money because Cincinnati wouldn't. Why? It's such a mess with the financials over there that you even have a rookie in Shemar Stewart that's looking to possibly re-enter the NFL, the 2026 NFL draft, to terminate his time, to cut ties with Cincinnati and just say, we're just going to hit the undo button and go back to the NFL draft next year. That is how badly that they're treating him. And he's voicing his opinion, and I think he's very fair to do so. That's just my take.
Hey, fair enough. In terms of Shemar Stewart, I tend to disagree with kind of his valuation as a prospect. This is a guy that was drafted in the first round, and 4.5 sacks across his entire career in college, not just in one season. Across 3 collegiate years, this guy has only had 4.5 total sacks, yet was still a top 20 pick. So at that point, what are you complaining about, Shemar Stewart? You are already, I think, drafted higher than you probably should have been. It is kind of interesting, though, what this dispute seems to be more so about is the actual language. So in this case, in terms of what Cincinnati's kind of putting in each first rounder's contract. In 2023, when they drafted Myles Murphy out of Clemson, his clause was a little bit different than what they used in 2024 for Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Now, again, this year, they're trying to kind of change the language a little bit around what happens if there's a default on the contract. So this is all kind of really technical stuff, but it seems that this is something very minor to kind of get held up on. If you're Shemar Stewart, why do you think his camp in particular is saying that they don't want to sign with the Bengals?
I think if the rookie like this comes out and officially says, I'm cutting ties with the Cincinnati Bengals, I think it says to every other free agent out there, do not come to the Cincinnati Bengals and expect good things. Not that you won't expect success. You won't expect money, and you'll expect a lot of going tooth and nail, just trying to earn your money, earn your pay, earn your worth. For a guy like Shemar Stewart, you are completely right when you say that he did get drafted a little bit high. I just think there's a reason that some of these teams do that. Sometimes they just see talent. Sometimes they see small flashes, especially in combines. Shemar Stewart did go to a big school. He did have a great roster, and he had good opportunities to make the most of those chances. It is 100% valid to say that he got drafted a little bit high. What's not valid, though, is to not get paid at least like $2-3 million. What's not valid is to have your front office say, we want to put these in the small fine print that if you get injured or if you make some off the field mistake, we'll DFA your entire we'll DFA your entire contract. You'll lose all your guaranteed money and you won't be on the team anymore. Just for minor mistakes. These are guys that are just coming into the league, and injuries happen, especially in the NFL. We saw it this past year with the amount of injuries we saw, especially the last 3 years that the injuries have been on a little bit of an uptick. It happens. It's just part of the game. But I think as much as it does speak on Shemar Stewart, I think it looks worse on the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion.
Yeah, and in terms of looking bad for Cincinnati, I do agree with you in terms of that, just because you look at their other big-time contract dispute right now in Trey Hendrickson. That's another defensive end. So you drafted a guy in Shemar Stewart to potentially replace Trey Hendrickson. You knew that Trey Hendrickson was going to want a new contract, right? So I think that's probably part of the reason that you go out and draft a guy like Shemar Stewart is as a replacement for Trey Hendrickson. Now, you haven't signed Trey Hendrickson, and you haven't signed the replacement for Trey Hendrickson in Shemar Stewart. That just seems kind of short-sighted to me. And I really, really am curious on what's going to happen with this Bengals defense this year, just after going all in on the offensive side of the ball. When you have the two $30 million a year wide receivers and your quarterback, who's a top 10 paid quarterback in the NFL, there's not a lot of money left for the defensive side of the ball, especially if Shemar Stewart's not there, if Trey Hendrickson sits out. What is this Bengals defense going to look like?
It's going to look like a mess. It really is. It's going to look like a mess. You're going to most likely, I'm 95% sure the Cincinnati Bengals are going to lose Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson doesn't even want to be in Cincinnati anymore with the amount of headache he's had to deal with that front office.
Can you blame that guy for not wanting to be in Cincinnati, though? I mean, 35 sacks over the past 2 years, and they refused to give him a new deal.
He's been phenomenal. He's been the heart and soul of that defense. If you think about why Cincinnati beat Kansas City all those years ago when Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl, you know why they did that? Because there was a guy by the name of Trey Hendrickson that chased him up and down the football field time and time again, down after down, and Patrick Mahomes couldn't do anything about it. He is a big reason why. Jermaine Pratt was a big reason why. And I still don't like that they let him go. But now you have a guy in Shemar Stewart, Trey's replacement. You're trying to put him on a younger deal. You're trying to cut some of the financials, give him give the replacement $3 million instead of giving the main guy $30 million a year. And you can't even do that. So I think this Bengals defense is going to be an absolute mess this year. I would not be shocked if we see an offense that's able to score 40 points while giving up 40 points a game. If you guys are playing fantasy football, be sure to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in your starting lineup, because I promise you, either of them will have 25 fantasy points a game. Either of them. If you're smart, you put both. Yes, that's probably what I'm looking to do. Hopefully none of my buddies are looking at this. Now I just spoiled my first round picks. But when we're looking at this right now, this is a Bengals team that is a mess. You have an offense that's high-powered, efficient, one of the top 10 offenses in the league. But you have a defense that is just reeling, looking for anything, any star talent that is relying on basically a bunch of I'm not trying to be rude, but a bunch of practice squad guys, a bunch of backups. You don't have star talent. So it's unfortunate, especially for a team like the Bengals in a competitive division. This might be an unfortunate year for the Bengals, and this should be a sign to everybody in the NFL not to do what the Bengals did with their offense.
Yeah, and we're just going to have to wait and see what this lopsided Cincinnati team is going to end up looking like. But just like us, we're going to wait, and we're going to take a short break on the GSMC Sports Podcast. Stick around. When we come back, we'll be talking some NBA and the Knicks. Who's going to be their next head coach? Stick with us. We're going to discuss it when we come back on the GSMC Sports Podcast.